Hi, I have kind of a delusional idea, so if you're watching this video, it worked. I'm a very visual person, and often I think in images and paintings, and I get certain paintings and drawings and pieces of art just completely stuck in my head. So today I'm getting them out. Not that I don't love having them there, but they need to be recreated in some kind of way. So I'm going to put them on a dress. Because the outside of this dress is going to be so funky, I'm following my formula for a perfect dress. It's going to have a very tightly fitted bodice, a low waist, a kind of funky waistline, a very large gathered skirt, and long sleeves. This is something I will want to wear all the time. It's something that I believe I could use in my wardrobe. I also never, ever sew with black, so I'm keeping it simple. It's going to be classy. It's going to be my version of a not so little black dress, perhaps. And then I'm going to add a very fluffy petticoat. I like to create custom petticoats for each of my garments. It just feels very couture and very special and very, I don't know, like unique, funky, whatever. And then the dress should be good. I can't think of anything else to say about the construction of it before we jump into my supplies. I have here all of my main supplies. We have this black, pretty heavyweight twill that I bought at Fleisman's in Philadelphia. It is in the garment district of Philly. I really enjoyed going actually, and I got 4 yards of this. And then I have these 30cc needle-tipped bottles. I discovered this idea from Katie on TikTok. She's an amazing artist and she paints on a lot of her clothes, and this is what she uses. They have a very fine tip, so I think it's gonna work pretty well. And then I'm using white screen printing ink. This is just Speedball. I think it's like pretty generic brand. Screen printing ink, is it gonna focus? And that is basically all I need for this project besides the regular sewing supplies, sewing machine, needles, black thread, oh, and tulle for my petticoat. Let me go see what I've got in my tool store. I have an adequate amount of tulle. Plenty of options. Oh, there's a grasshopper or something in my tool. That is not good. I'm going to maybe use all of these, maybe just one color. We'll see what I end up doing, but petticoat's not my focus. I think for right now, I'm just gonna focus on the painting of the dress. As for the references and the images that I'm going to be placing on this dress using screen printing ink, I really want to use a lot of Hieronymus Bosch's work. He is one of my favorite painters of all time. I cannot believe how trippy and funky his work is. I think that there is a little bit of theory that there was a fungus in the bread that people were eating in the time that he lived called ergo, and that led to hallucinations. And I do feel like you can see that in his work. I'm also going to be using this book of illustrations I bought in a chateau in France. It was actually where Richard the Lionheart lived and Eleanor of Aquitaine. It's in the Duchy of Aquitaine, I'm fairly certain. And this book, it's called Le Moyen Âge Flamboyant, and it has these fantastic illustrations as well as poems in modern and ancient French. I kind of enjoy looking at the two of those translations side by side because I actually took a class in college called Literature of the Middle Ages, and we studied Middle Age France, and we learned a little bit of ancient French. We read books like La Chanson de Roland et Le Maître Pierre Patelin and de Marie de France, and it was a really fun class, and I learned so much about courtly love and knighthood and all of the beautiful Middle Ages things. So I think that this dress is naturally going to be very medieval, and I'm also going to be using some of my own drawings and paintings and images I've created. So I think all of that reference will combine to create a funky and cool dress, one can hope. Because the point of this dress was to be the perfect, relatively simple dress, I just made a pattern based on McCall's 7426. This is my favorite vintage dress pattern, and it fits me like a glove. It basically is my body shape if I take out a couple inches here and there, which I've done so many times that I just instinctively know where. So I cut out a lining out of this pattern. I did do a triangular low waist, and then I cut out my black fabric, and then I was ready to begin the process of drawing on the dress. So the part where the ink actually comes out is so tiny, but it makes for really fine lines, which is super cool. The messiest part of this whole process. You can't really do anything fine, but the polka dots are kind of cool. Could be cool. Looks a bit like the very famous newspaper print I'm not mad about it. It just looks very similar to that in my mind. I'm not sure. It's also much slower going than I remembered. I'm still on my first sleeve and I've been at it for at least an hour now. This is one of the oldest buildings in Paris. I saw it when I was going on walks in the 4th, I'm pretty sure. And these are some of Bosch's creatures. And this is a foot that I saw in one of his paintings. It's literally 10:30 p.m. and I'm still working on my first sleeve, but I think I kind of screwed up a little bit because I like the bottom of it. It's my Parisian houses with weird demons flying around, and then there's a monkey breaking into a window over here, and there's also a religious man's foot because he's wearing robes. Yeah, kind of confusing, but I added this crazy face that has like teardrops forming the skin at the very top of the shoulder, except I'm worried that it's gonna be ugly because then there's gonna be basically a very noticeable gap in between the shoulder, like the sleeve and the shoulder of the bodice, unless I also make the shoulder of the bodice really like thickly decorated. I just want the dress to feel as seamless as possible. So we'll see if it turns out okay. I also feel like that doesn't really go with the rest of the drawings, so I'm gonna have to fill in the sleeve a little bit more than I intended, which is cool, but this is quite slow going. It's also, the emptier your bottle gets, the harder you have to squeeze to get ink out, and then the harder it, the longer it takes to draw. Actually love doing this. It is just a little bit tedious. Also, really appreciate having paper references for this kind of work so I don't have to stare at a screen quite as much. I'm really trying to incorporate more real life reference in my work and keep more sketchbooks and keep more physical copies of things. I think it's very valuable. Sleeve number 2 begins. This one's gonna be even better than the first one. I can feel it. I'm beginning to doubt how much of this I can actually do in one day because it just takes a lot of time, and the dress is designed to be quite large, which is gonna be epic, but I'm always just drawn to these crazy maximal time intensive projects. I'm putting a lot of Bosch's figures around the edge of the sleeve, and then I have this drawing in the middle, which is really based off of a statue I saw one time. I'll try to find the statue that I based that off of. I need to find a really great creature to put at the very top of this sleeve. I don't want to do a face. I think I want to do some kind of monster or some kind of weird animal. Like this. This is an otter with a fish for a tail. What even? How did these people come up with this? Crazy. I finished my sleeves and I think I'm ready to start my bodice. Navigating around the darts is very complex. I'm worried that I'm gonna screw it up and have it look very unprofessional because there are several seams that I have to paint over. But I think by holding it taut and just doing the best I can, it should be okay. These are my 2 sleeves together. I like how the top of them is opposite. This one's very dark, this one's very light, and then the center of this one is very light while the center of this one's very dark. However, I think that they might need a little bit of final touch-ups. Where did I put my ink? It's 5 p.m. I've realized that I can only do so much painting on fabric in one day. It's partially because I'm kind of bored of it and partially because my hand is totally cramped up. And I mean, I spend most of every day working with my hands, so if that tells you anything, this is hard on your hands. Anyway, I'm gonna put all my stuff away. I'm super excited to get back to it tomorrow, but I wanna enjoy the process. I don't wanna rush it and I don't wanna make this not fun. So I'm gonna sew something else for a little bit. I'm gonna use my machine and I will see you guys tomorrow. Also, I have a new bulletin board. It's my wedding sign. It used to look like this and now it's this because when am I ever gonna use a wedding sign again? So now I can just pin all of my inspiration and ideas onto this board, which I think is very useful. I can't tell if it's cool or if it just looks kind of cheap. What do you guys think? Thoughts, opinions? It's obviously not done. I feel like I should be in a motorcycle gang right now. It's the bandana that's doing that for me, I think. Okay, my bodice is done. Oh, good morning, by the way. My bodice is, oh wait, what am I talking about? My bodice is not done. Sometimes I feel stressed out when I talk to a camera. The bodice bottom is kind of done, so I'm going to give this an iron once it dries for a little bit. And then I'm going to sew the top shoulder seams together because I want the shoulder seams to be very continuous, and I'm going to put forest at the top of the shoulders. The reason for this is really because my sleeves are so crowded that I need to have the crowdedness continue into the bodice so that it looks continuous, kind of, duh. What am I even talking about, bro? Then the bodice will be done, and then I start on the monstrosity that is the skirt. Crazy. Look at this guy. So crazy. So really weird. What did trees in the Middle Ages look like? Actually, what was the artistic representation of trees in the Middle Ages? Oh, these are perfect. These are very good. I like how stylized these are. After a bit more work, I finished my bodice and I moved on to my skirt. You guys ever have a skirt so large you have to switch camera lenses? Let me show you this thing. This is my skirt that I'm about to paint. I've laid it out on the floor over here, and I'm just gonna leave it there for the next couple days and paint on it on the floor so that I can use my desk for other things, because this is a lot of space to cover with ink by hand, but it's gonna be good. It's like, the possibility is really cool of doing something this big. It's just a little bit daunting, but the most daunting things always turn out the best. Probably the funkiest angle I've ever filmed at, but this is a really large headless ballerina, the first creature of the skirt. I need to start doing those hand weights that strengthen up your hand muscles, because this is really difficult. The headless ballerina, by the way, is throwing my head because I'm the ballerina and my head's has been removed. It's really not very grotesque. It's more comic because there's going to be a Ferris wheel in the back. This painting was painted in, I want to say, the 15th century, maybe 16th. Hold on, actually, let me fact check myself right now. This painting was painted in the 16th or 15th century, and it is so futuristic. It's like this guy is climbing the spire of a rocket ship. It's crazy, but he's also naked. What? And also it looks kind of like a bowling ball, so I've put a little bowling ball, but like there's a spaceship window. I don't know either, man, but I think it's kind of cool. It's like 9 p.m. and my hand muscles are failing me. I just want to get this dress done. I enjoy drawing on it. I enjoy doing the skirt. I just cannot, like, my hand can't do it. My thumb specifically feels like completely numb, and I've given myself like an hour off of the project. Something about squeezing the bottle. I just need to get better hand muscles, basically. But my skirt is looking a little bit fuller. I'm gonna try to push through and do a little bit more tonight, but I don't have hope that I can actually get this project done in a week. I'm currently adding ears as the carriages on the Ferris wheel, and I actually don't even know what an ear looks like that well. I've got some reference photos pulled up. After a very long day yesterday, and I mean very long day of inking, I feel like I'm ready to say that my skirt is complete. Let me show you it. I'm not gonna walk you through my creatures quite yet, but I will show you what I've done so far. Moment of truth. I kind of like it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Thoughts, opinions? Pretty crazy. First step of getting this to be a skirt and not a big piece of fabric is going to be gathering the top of it. So I'm just gonna do some simple gathering stitches and then I will attach this to my body. Oh, I need to iron. What am I talking about? I have to iron the ink so that it is permanent. My skirt has been gathered and it's not very fashionable right now. I just did 2 gathering stitches and I stopped in the middle and started over again so that I could gather each half equally. It does not look good. It looks very frumpy. That's why we're doing a petticoat and I think I'm ready to start the petticoat. There are videos I have posted where I go a little bit more into petticoat construction. You can go check out my How I Made My Wedding Dress video to really see me get into one of these. But my favorite method for doing this is to create a base for the petticoat. For this project, it's just going to be the same shape as that skirt. The waist will be gathered for my petticoat because I do want a little bit of fluff at the actual waist seam. And then I'm going to add tiers to my petticoat. I'll just cut out between 4 and 6 rectangles of tulle and gather them at different lengths. So there is a music studio above me. I don't know if you heard the memo. I work in a garage and my husband works above me. So that's why there's always crazy sounds going on. But I will just cut out rectangles and then gather those and then attach them to the base of the petticoat, and then it should be nice and fluffy and should be good. This before I attach that skirt that I just made to the bodice, the painted bodice, because the petticoat is going to be attached along with that. The seam where the petticoat is attached will not be visible from the outside or the inside because I have a lining. I love the look of tulle, but I find it one of the most annoying fabrics to work with. Also, cutting on the fold for these pattern pieces, forget it. I'm just gonna sew the center seam together. I have kind of a chaotic plan for this petticoat. So the hem of my skirt is 116 inches long, which means I want my rows of petticoat to be round 1.5 to 2 times that length. I'm going to do 2 6-inch rows, one at 174 inches and one at 232 inches. That's 1.5 times the hem and 2 times the hem. And then I'm going to do a couple 8-inch rows of those lengths, a couple 10-inch rows of those lengths, and then a couple 16-inch rows of those lengths. And I will just attach all of these rows to my petticoat. I'm gonna kind of just freeball it. I'm not gonna be super specific about where they're attached. I mostly just want this to be a very fluffy petticoat, and it will not be my neatest of all time, but it should get the job done in adding volume to my skirt. Do not drink my coffee, mister. You better not drink my coffee. I have cut out all of my tulle and it's labeled by length and width. And so I'm going to assemble the base of my petticoat and start doing some gathering. I can tell by the amount of tulle I have here that it's not really enough for a truly epic petticoat. I think that's like the second time I've used the word epic in this video and I don't really like that word.
We talked. It was epic.
It's not enough for a really great petticoat. It is enough for me though. Perfect. The first row of I don't even know how many is on my petticoat, and it's not that bad, okay? It's really not that bad. You just sew it on there, but I'm procrastinating so much. I'm gonna go to the gym, do a really hard leg day, wear myself out. So whenever I get back to this, I will be in the mood to sew. I will definitely be in the mood to sew a petticoat. I'm not in the mood to sew tulle. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Okay, keep in mind that this is going to be gathered along the top, so it shall be even more voluminous than this big long rectangle that it's in right now. But it's very bottom heavy, which is fine because I want the bottom to be the most fluffy. And I also used purple thread to sew all my rows on, and I probably should have switched to white, but this is just for me. If it was for somebody else, I would have done a nicer thread color. Anyway, it does need to be steamed. Okay, let's get to assembly. I'm about to do something criminal. If I admit that I'm doing something wrong, does it make it okay? Probably not, but to attach all of these layers together at the back seam of this skirt, I'm gonna do a straight stitch, and I'm just going to sew them together at the back seam. I'm not gonna like sew each individual layer together. I know I should, but I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna do it for this dress. Any other dress I would, but not this one. I also am going to attach my skirt together at the back seam, and I'm going to leave about an 8-inch gap for the tail end of my zipper. Enough rambling. My skirts are attached together. I'm gonna wait and do the hem on the black skirt in a little bit. I'll do that by hand. It's gonna be quite time consuming, but it's worth it. If you've put this much time into a garment, I feel like you have to do your finishing touches by hand. So now I'm gonna put the bodice onto the skirt and we'll be so much closer to having a dress. This is why you do a basting stitch for zippers. Take number 2.
Numbers, the pants kind of eat the whole shoe.
Two 2,000 years later.
I finished my dress. I spent a while doing all of the finishing touches, hem, cuffs, collar by hand, but now I'm ready to go do some photos and some videos.
Why did you go? Where is the touch? Where is the heart? Where is the love? ¿Por qué, mi amor? Why did you close your heart for me? Where is the hope? Where is the touch? Where is the tender love? You are my light, you're shining so bright. Here we are in the world.
After working on something for more than 50 hours, I think no matter what the end result is, I'm going to be a little bit sick of it and I'm going to need a little bit of time to think and to take a pause from the project before I can honestly and accurately assess it. But I do want to kind of chat about what I like and dislike about this dress at the current moment. So the colors. The white and black are striking together, but they look a bit like skeleton pajamas. Not what I intended. I think in future I would not do white on black. I would do any other color on black or white on any other color. I also I do like the way the bodice comes to a very sharp point and the ink kind of accentuates that, and then the skirt is a lot more sporadic, the ink is a lot more spread out. I do appreciate that. I like the drawings on the skirt a lot more than on the bodice. They're a lot larger. They're just feel more like drawings and less like New Orleans witchy kind of scenario, like what you'd find on a pair of socks or like a polyester shawl. Does that make sense? I feel like that image is not going to come across the way I've described it. I like the fit of the garment a lot, but I actually don't know in future if I would take the time to add a petticoat. I don't know that it really added a lot to the garment. It for sure adds volume, but I don't think that that volume was actually needed. But I couldn't really say for sure because I haven't seen it without the petticoat. I really enjoy sewing crazy projects because it allows me to kind of challenge my brain, and I enjoy pushing what I can do with fabric and with things that affect fabric, thread, applique, embroidery, ink, any of the things that you can do to modify your fabric. I think next week I'll be taking a step back from the crazy time-extensive projects and doing something a bit more simple, but I would love to have you join me. So don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you're working on below. I would love to know. And if you want to find me on any other social media, all of that will be linked below as well. I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks for watching.
Feels like a visual representation of like a mentally ill housewife. What do you think?